Welcome back to another video. My name is Michael. I'm the founder of Buffalo Performance and Analysis, where we combine sports science, strength and conditioning, and sports performance to give coaches the tools necessary to build the next level of elite athletes. In this video, we're in the second step of our data analysis process, which is data cleaning. So what is data cleaning? Data cleaning is the steps that we're going to utilize to clean and prepare the data for the next step. So we have nice and clean data that we can use to analyze and know that we're not going to see any skew within the data. So we're going to use some mutate functions. We're going to utilize select and filter, as well as select cases, as well as some drop NA or NA omit. So let's get into it. The first steps is going to be installing the packages that we need. So I've already gone ahead and installed Tidyverse and dplyr, which are the main two that I like to use. The first thing we're going to look at is utilizing unique. Now, unique is something that we utilize during the data exploration process, but we're going to look at it again and just take a look at this. So I ran this utilizing the opposition name. When we look at it, we see Pacific is, and we see South Africa. There's no misspellings here, but we can look for misspellings and we can correct that. One kind of general rule of thumb when we're looking at data is we want to have underscores. So instead of having a space here between South and Africa, we want to have an underscore. As well, for Pacific is, obviously Pacific Islander, we want to see an underscore here. So what we can utilize is the mutate function, and we can go ahead and recode Pacific is and South Africa for kind of some better general data analysis tips. So we're going to utilize the mutate function. We're going to call on the opposition name. We're going to recode it. So that means we're going to write over the code that's already there. And we're looking for anytime it says Pacific is, we're going to recode it with Pacific underscore island. I like to put island. If you understand the data, you can leave it as is, but I wanted to put island so it's a little bit more clear cut. And the same thing with South Africa. Mutate, call on the column name, recode it, which means we're writing over it, South Africa, recode it to South underscore Africa. And then we're going to view it. So when we run it like that, we see here, now we have South underscore Africa. Another useful tool for the mutate function is to create a new column. So down here, we're going to utilize the mutate function. We're going to create a new column, call it rating underscore diff, and that's going to call on the rating, and it's going to subtract the opposition rating from that. That way we can have the difference of the rating and opposition rating. So when we run these new lines of code, we'll see if we scroll all the way to the end, we'll see the opposition rating, we'll see the rating, and then it has games since last loss, and then the last column is going to be the new column, which is rating diff. Now, in our next step, which is data manipulation, we can actually recode our data frame and reposition the columns, and we can put the rating diff next to the rating and opposition rating. Next in our data cleaning process is utilizing select and filter functions to separate key information for further analysis. So here we're going to create a new data frame, call it AB2, and then we're going to utilize our select function, and we're only going to select the opposition rating, the rating, and the result. So when we run these lines of codes, it's going to pull only that data that I selected. So it only pulls the opposition rating, the rating, and the result. So it can kind of, if we were working with a large data set or a large data frame, it can really bring things down and only look on the key parts that we want to take a look at. We can also use the filter function to filter out data from certain columns. So here we're going to utilize the select function to select the opposition name, the date, result, the opposition rating, and the rating of the All Blacks. But then from there, we want to filter out all the data except for when the result is less than 0, so where the All Blacks lost, and where the opposition rating was less than the All Blacks. So in other words, we want to take a look at where the All Blacks rating was higher than the opposition, so they were expected to win, but they still managed to lose. So we can use the select and the filter functions here, and when we run these codes, we see that there are 22 entries where the All Blacks had a higher rating than the opposition, but the result was negative. Another great step in the data cleaning process is complete cases. Using complete cases is going to show us rows without NA values, but we can put an exclamation point before that. That's actually going to do the inverse of that, so it's only going to show us the rows with NA values. So when we do it for these lines of code here, we're going to filter exclamation point, meaning the inverse of complete cases. That's going to show us only the only the rows with NA values. Now this is a really clean data set, so when we run it, it actually shows us that there's no data available in the table because there are no NA values. Another great tool that we can add to our data cleaning toolbox is the drop NA or the NA omit functions. Now it's important to note that while this data frame doesn't have any NA values, these can be useful in other data frames where you do have NA values. A key thing to remember when utilizing drop NA or NA omit is that you understand the data that you're going to be dropping, because that could have an effect on the skew of the data, and so it's important that you know what values you're dropping before you decide whether or not to use the drop NA or NA omit functions. You can code those NA values as NA or as a 0 utilizing the mutate function, but it's really important that you have a good grasp on what those NA values are. The last function that we're going to talk about for our data cleaning process is the distinct function. The distinct function is great for filtering out any repeating data and showing only unique values within a certain column. So here, if we utilize distinct of the opposition name and we run it, we see that there are 21 unique entries, so we know that the All Blacks played against 21 unique teams. I hope you found this information helpful. In the next video, we'll be going over the next step in the data analysis process, which is data manipulation. Thanks.